Jesse, cryptocurrencies. Since last year, prices have gone absolutely astronomical, mainly in the form of Bitcoin. Now, when I was researching the book in October time, I actually opened an account with Coinbase just to test putting some money in for a bit of Bitcoin. I put £80 in, and at the time of recording this video, it's somewhere around about £325 or something like that. What are your views on crypto, and how can people kind of get involved without too much exposure and basically getting their fingers burnt?
Right. First of all, we need to establish that I was the one that told you to put money in Coinbase and buy Bitcoin. So thank you very much. I will take my bottle of fancy whiskey. So that being said, cryptocurrency is effectively the new form of currency and paying for items. In a traditional sense, you want a candy, can of soda, go down to convenience store, flop down your cash, pay with a credit card, and be done with it. Back in the day when you only paid with cash, the idea that writing a check would be as good as money is unfathomable. Like, how is this tiny rectangle piece of paper that you can write any number on going to be accepted just like a dollar bill? Whereas when you move on to debit cards and credit cards, how is this little rectangle piece of plastic the same thing as a dollar bill? But now it's implemented and we use it on a day-to-day basis. How is scanning my phone using Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever tech website pay is as good as the dollar bill? It doesn't make any sense. And now we're on the next step where we're dealing with something like Bitcoin or Ethereum and some of these other crazy coins that you never hear of, and the ones yet to come, where you think, how is this going to work? How does this make sense? How is this as good as the dollar bill? But that's where we're headed. As the world becomes more fluid and interconnected, now we don't have to deal with foreign exchange, but almost a unified form of currency where one Bitcoin is worth the same in America as it is in England, as it is in Africa, Asia, and all parts of the world, even on the moon, it's all the same. So it's solving a number of problems. This centralized form of currencies where you have this hyperinflation and these dictatorships where all of a sudden they collapse and the currency in that specific country goes to zero. That's no longer going to be the case. So what I'm trying to emphasize is, and I think what we want to reiterate, is the idea that you need to start familiarizing yourself with cryptocurrency. And we're going to give you a number of resources to do that, more so than stock tips and stock advice to try to make you $1 million. The idea is that we're going to give you this casual crypto, if you will, information to understand that cryptocurrency as a whole is going to be the next wave in the financial world. So how do you take advantage of it?
Do people like Elon Musk give it more credibility? Is he a help or is he a hindrance?
I think it's a little of both, from my perspective. He's a massive help in terms of bringing awareness to cryptocurrency and getting more people involved as a unified form of payment. But also it can be a hindrance, knowing that one person can effectively change the entire market. This isn't a stock. This isn't him talking about Tesla and saying, if he said all of a sudden, I quit on Tesla, the stock would crash tomorrow, but with something like Bitcoin, it's not a company, it's a decentralized currency. So when there's one or two people that are making massive waves, that's when we need to focus on expansion to minimize that as much as possible. So the help is certainly great, but at some point we need to avoid those hindrances of one tweet or one news story that's going to completely change the environment as a whole.
That's great, and I should point out here that if you are tempted in Never Go Broke, which is out on the 6th of May, our book, we kind of mentioned right at the very beginning of the chapter about cryptocurrencies that if you have no interest and you don't want to go and read more about it, don't get involved and don't ever invest more money than what you can afford to lose. And make sure you do your own research, read about things like the blockchain, read about the different exchanges where you can go and do this, and make sure you do your due diligence. You need to go and do that. And we're firmly sort of we build ourselves a little bit jokingly about the yin and yang of finance. And I'm sometimes at one point I'm cryptocurrency, yeah, it's for the future. At another point I'm like, but one tweet can make all of these currencies swing and everything. Would you personally say Bitcoin and just stick with Bitcoin and don't go elsewhere, or are the cryptocurrencies worth looking at, in your opinion?
I think it's always, I'm all about a combination of getting your feet wet and being a part of it without getting too out of control. You know what I'm saying? It's jumping into the ring, but make sure it's the ring without the raging bull in it. It's the ring that has the nice little goat that you can pet, or the baby animals. You know what I'm saying? The petting zoo, not the rodeo. So I highly encourage, a lot of these exchanges now, they're desperate to bring in customers. So they have a lot of monetary incentives for brand new users, sign up offers, get free $10 in Bitcoin if you deposit $100. And then what you can do is put in your $100, bank that $10 and withdraw the $100 back out. So you have this little bit of free, no risk Bitcoin. And you can kind of monitor it and see how it goes. So you can start building slowly, but knowing you're still in the game. That's the one thing. But I think the other thing from our perspective is also, as we start posting these online, the one thing we're going to avoid at all costs, maybe we're playing it safe, but I think that's just the premise of the book, is none of these videos are going to have this aged like milk, where a year from now, you're going to go back to what we said now today and go, he said Bitcoin was going to go to $1 million and it's still only at $50,000. Or he said, sell all my Bitcoin and now it's taken off. I could have been a millionaire. But what we're trying to do is encourage people to do their own due diligence using the resources we found available to make the best and most informed decision based on their own personal circumstance. If you don't have £1,000 to spend, don't spend $1,000 on Bitcoin. If you have £10 to spend on Bitcoin, by all means, that's the thing. You need to understand your own risk factor and your own risk level to make those decisions. We want to inform you about the opportunities, but we want to empower you to make those decisions for yourself to make as much money as possible.
I think that's really well put. And actually, depending on who you listen to, it's going to crash to $1,000 or it's going to go to the moon and be $100 million by this time next year. And as we point out in the book, we have got no idea what's going to happen from one week to the next when it comes to cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin.